Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky and I'm joined as always by the man who has never shed a tear to a Crankies record. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
I'm doing very well. You might have to explain that one for me. Never shed a tear to a Crankies record.
Well, look, I'm struggling. I was struggling today for something to come up with, and there is a point in what we're going to be talking about later on when the character James says, I've never shed a tear to a Bowie.
Yeah, right.
I just thought, yeah, the Crankies is probably... I mean, maybe you have shed a tear to We're All Going to Spain, I don't know, or Found Abby Dozy, I'm not sure.
No, I can't say I have. I'm somewhat perplexed at the minute here because my Google has just changed itself to Arabic. So when I type in English, it comes up in fucking Arabic letters for some reason. Let me see if it still gets me to where I want to go. Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah, we are having a few technical issues this morning, dear listener, in terms of things seem to be going a bit tits up. But we're still here, and hopefully the episode will
It's still got me to where I want to go, so it's fine. It's no problem.
Oh, that's fine. I mean, come on, Greg. You've lived in the Middle East for long enough now. Do you not know enough Arabic to get by on Google?
I don't know. I think like all Western expats, I know hello and thank you, and that is about it. And I know left as well, bizarrely. Which is handy if I want the taxi driver to turn left, but I'm fucked when I need him to turn right. So
yeah, that's fair enough. No, I lived there 12 years and I'm pretty much exactly the same as you. I think I was able to say, excuse me, I speak a little Arabic,
right?
But can you speak English? Right. I think I did learn how to say that, but yeah, other than that, it was very much please, thank you, Habibi, and inshallah.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So yeah, how's everything with you today? All
yes,
good?
Very good. I had a bit of a moment with my daughter the other day where I really felt like a wise father right after I said what I said to her, right? But we were listening to the radio on the way to school, and it was just after Liverpool beat Man United 7-0 at Anfield last week, and my daughter said 7-0. She said, I thought Manchester United were the better team, and I said, and it's such a dad thing to say, right? But it felt quite good. I said, well, they weren't the better team yesterday. I just thought, yeah, fucking nailing it.
Were you happy with yourself?
Yeah, I was. I thought that's a really good response. So it was. Even she. I sort of looked at her sideways, and she had a kind of, well, fair enough kind of look on her, you know, as opposed to the usual screwed up face of doubt and recrimination that she usually has in her face when I say things to her. So,
yeah. Oh, very good. You were able to impart a little bit of dad wisdom there and, come out with like a nice little quip as well. So I'm glad you were proud of yourself there.
It was. For somebody for somebody who follows football just enough to kind of get by in a conversation, I thought I did all right there.
Oh, very good. I'm glad to hear it. Wonderful. All right. Well, we'll go from the world of football into the world of news, I guess. Shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland in the last couple of weeks?
Let's do it. Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, so what have you seen from around Scotland? I was going to say the last couple of weeks. You're going away for a couple of weeks, so we're actually kind of banking a couple of episodes. So we actually recorded the last episode 2 days ago. So
we're fully caught up with each other. You know?
So apologies if these news stories seem a little bit old, but they're from a couple of weeks ago. But what have you seen in the last couple of weeks that has caught your eye in Scotland?
Well, this didn't happen in Scotland, strictly speaking, but it does involve a bit of a Scottish treasure. So this is a Scottish national treasure, I should say. This is early morning television's lovely Lorraine Kelly. She profusely apologises to GMB's Kate Garraway after on-age cleavage blunder. So Lorraine was telling viewers about what was coming up in their own programme, when her co-host Ben Shepherd and Susanna Reid decided to play a trick on her. The pair had a little bit of fun at Kate's expense with the use of the green screen, as the 55-year-old caught their attention with her bright green jumpsuit for her latest TV appearance. Kate was made to stand up and show off her attire, and due to the colour, and with the help of some TV trickery, crew behind the scenes managed to change the colour of her dress from red to blue, then purple, and then seconds later, a live image of Lorraine's face appeared on her clothes, and fans were left in stitches and took to Twitter to tweet the star. And when Lorraine saw a screen grab of herself on Kate's garment, she replied, "OMFG," which for anybody over the age of like 30 means "oh my fucking god," although she didn't say that on the TV in the morning. "I can only apologise profusely for the damage inflicted," and that led to many of her fans to comment and react. So basically, try and describe this picture, right? So Kate Garraway is wearing a green jumpsuit, and Lorraine Kelly's face is being like projected onto her body. So under her chin, there's quite a close-up of Lorraine Kelly's face, and then Lorraine's wearing not a really low-cut top, but low cut enough to have a bit of cleavage, which the technicians have lined up the little line of cleavage right where Kate Garraway's lady garden is.
Oh my dear.
Oh my dear, indeed. One of Lorraine's fans on Twitter said, my mother noticed it straight away. You can't fucking miss it. I told her it'll end up on Twitter. Another penned, "GMB, please look back at Lorraine on Kate. Not sure the cleavage was in the right place," alongside a string of crying, laughing emojis. When a fourth penned, "I'm not sure that GMB thought this one through. At Real Lorraine," that's Lorraine Kelly's Twitter handle, "Lorraine Kelly's cleavage projected onto Kate Garraway," alongside an image of the moment in question. So that's the article, sort of short and sweet. It would never have happened when Roland Rat was running TVAM, would it?
I just had to laugh because I just heard your pussy meow in the background as you're talking about about Lorraine Kelly's thing. No, that would never happen in Roland Rat's days of Roland getting his rat out with Kevin or anything like that. I did see this picture, and yeah, it is quite a spectacle in terms of the way the cleavage is just there. And I guess it makes a change from people not talking about Lorraine Kelly's growler, because obviously there's quite famous pictures available online of
really?
of yes. Put your VPN on and have a look for photos of Lorraine Kelly. And yes, there are photos of her.
So it
is her growler.
Who's taking naked photos of Lorraine Kelly and putting them on the internet?
It was in her younger days, but yes, there are photos available online of Lorraine Kelly's massive hairy Kate Bush.
I think it was acceptable back then, though, right? It was the style, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, no, it's completely fitting of the time. Yeah, I'm not having a go at anything about her for having a massive bush. It was very much of the time and of the style. But yes, there are photos of Lorraine Kelly out there. Just to pre-warn you in case you're wanting to have a Google for that.
I'll have a look.
But yeah, stick your VPN on first.
Yeah. So was Lorraine like a former like sort of Tennant's lager can lovely or something like that before she was a serious journalist?
I don't ever remember seeing gash on a can of Tennant's lager. I'll be quite honest with you there, Craig. The lager lovelies were well covered up on there. I don't know what the photos are for. Fuck it, I'm gonna have to Google them now, haven't I, and see what the.
We don't know how they got there.
I'm not sure. No, I don't know. I'll need to investigate that further. I'll have a proper look and try and find out the background behind them, and I'll let you know in the next episode.
Okay.
Have a Lorraine Kelly's gash update. I need to stop saying that word. Sorry, I don't know why. I feel terrible about that. So what was the outcome of this? Her cleavage getting beamed onto Kate Garraway's lady parts. Was there any fallout or anything?
I think it was just all a bit of like shits and giggles. You know what I mean? Bit of a laugh. I don't think anybody took any offence.
Okay.
It's fair enough.
Good.
Just a bit of
all good.
Just a bit of early morning shenanigans and light-hearted japery.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we've seen worse, of course.
Yeah, exactly. We have
morning television over the years.
I mean, Piers Morgan used to be on there. Do you know what I mean? So that fucking dough-faced Tory cunt.
It's from one cunt to another, I would say. Yeah.
Anyway, that was my first story. Short and sweet. I'm just having a wee look on Google with my VPN on. I've not come across the growler in question. But there's a lot of pictures of Lorraine Kelly in a bikini. So, good for you, Lorraine. Anyway, what's your first story this week?
Okay, so my first story this week is from the Scottish Sun, and there has been a bit of an epidemic recently in Scottish football with pyrotechnics and flares and things and smoke bombs being let off and thrown onto the pitch. So they are trying to clamp down a little bit on it. So this is an article from, say, the Scottish Sun this week. Football thugs are smuggling flares into matches by hiding them in baguettes, it has been claimed. Dozens of... It's like, well, what an ingenious way to smuggle a flare in a football ground. Dozens of flares, strobes, smoke canisters and rockets were set off at the Viva Play Cup final at Hampden in a crowd of 50,000 people last month. Less than a week later, a smoke bomb was hurled onto the pitch by an Aberdeen supporter on Saturday evening, missing Pittodrie midfielder Ryan Duncan by a matter of inches, with both clubs now working to identify the culprit. English fans have moved away from pyrotechnics in recent years, amid hopes that Scottish fans will follow suit. But it was claimed that some are using baguettes to smuggle them into the ground. Jim Goodwin, the Dundee United manager, was also pelted with coins, appealed to the clubs to start using CCTV to prevent it from escalating. Ken Scott, who is the head of inspectorate at the Sports Ground Safety Authority, the SGSA, met with representatives from Holyrood, what the fuck is going on this morning, and local authorities in Glasgow to discuss safety certificates. Mr Scott said there are many reasons why pyrotechnics should not be within a country mile of a football ground. They burn at high temperatures, they can start a fire, and they have the ability to cause appalling injuries. Education and persuasion have had a bit of impact in England. People are realising that there are a better way to show your support than a team than a blue, red or green pyrotechnic device. If fans don't listen, there needs to be a sanction. So there was a big display of pyrotechnics at the cup final last month. There are 50,000 people inside the stadium, and Ken said that's an awful lot of people that could have been impacted, but it's also an awful lot of people to search. There are dogs which can detect the black powder which is inside these things, but they're more of a deterrent. The chances of them detecting all of the pyrotechnics is very slim. People are going to extraordinary lengths. They're hiding them inside baguettes. And they often put them inside the hood of a child's jacket because they know that not many grounds search kids. So why don't you just put it in the kid's pocket then? They use kids as mules to get these things in. All right, Ken, Jesus. Also, if you put them down the front of your trousers, nobody's going to search there for obvious reasons. Ken's just giving people tips of how to smuggle them into the grounds now. If people are determined to get them in, they will do it. I still think people have to be educated about the risks, but if they still insist on using them, sorry, but they have to feel the full force of the law. Well said, Ken. So I'm just imagining all of these Rangers and Celtic fans going to the cup final, like an army of Frenchmen armed with baguettes coming in because they've got their smoke bombs and flares that they're about to set off. And I guess they've got a snack as well because the food at Hampden's pretty shit. So they can set off their flare and then eat their baguette as well.
They hide the evidence.
I don't see the point of this. I've never been a big fan of this, like smoke bombs or pyrotechnics. I mean, okay, it sometimes looks quite pretty on the TV and stuff, but I generally can't be arsed with it because then they end up having to stop the game. They wait for the smoke to clear. You can't see the players can't see anything because of the smoke. It's all just a fucking pain in the arse, really. I mean, what's the point?
I mean, it feels quite... I think it sort of started in Europe, didn't it? I think it's quite a continental thing. I think the ultras and those types of groups, and also Turkey, like sort of Galatasaray and all that. But I don't really get to see the point. And it be, you know, to be serious for a minute, it does feel a bit like a fucking disaster waiting to happen. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I'd be a bit scared if I was, you know, at a match and someone next to me is like lighting up a flare. I think I would be a bit wary and a bit not suspicious, but like a bit concerned about what's going to happen to that, because it just takes it to, you know, something to go wrong and for it to explode, and then you've got a bit of a nasty accident there.
Well, the thing is, like, they burn incredibly hot because it's like it's phosphorus, right? So it burns really, really hot. So, you know, like, you could, you know, if you got somebody, you know, I mean, especially if you're in the Rangers end, there's a good chance the person next to you is wearing a shell suit. You know what I mean? They could go up like a fucking Roman candle. It's but in all seriousness, it does feel like a bit of a disaster waiting to happen. And the thing is as well, like, when you go to like a big game and it's a sellout, even though the stadiums are all seated now, it's still, you know, you can't help but feel, you know, all those, like, that many people moving at once. You do always feel a wee bit precarious until you're either in your seat or you're out of the stadium and into a bit of space. Do you know what? Well, certainly I do. Anyway, you know. But do you know what that reminds me? Do you know what that reminded me of? Do you remember when you and I can't remember who you went. Maybe you went with a mutual friend. I remember you telling me you guys went to Murrayfield to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and a guy known.
Not me.
Was it not you? Who was it? Well, you know Chris Davis, who's now who's now a comedian. He was at the Edinburgh Festival last year, but somebody told me, I'm sure it was you, maybe it was. Somebody told me that they saw.
Do you mean our mutual friend?
Oh yeah. They said that they saw him. He had tried to take an air horn in and into Murrayfield, and he was stopped, and they made him like stand outside and set it off before they would let him into the stadium. He said we saw Davis. He was just sitting outside for about 5 minutes, letting off this air horn because they wouldn't let him in with it. I thought, why did they not just confiscate it?
Yeah. What? So what? They made him empty the air horn effectively, and then he was allowed to take it in.
And then he was allowed to take it in, yeah, pretty much, because he didn't want to.
I'd have just fucking thrown it in the bin. I wouldn't have been arsed about sitting there for 10 minutes setting off an air horn. Jesus, it'd damage your hearing, I would have thought.
I wonder who it was that saw him then. And told me about that. Maybe it was somebody in Glasgow that knows him. I could have sworn it was you, but anyway, I guess not. Yeah,
no, definitely wasn't me. I don't think I've ever seen the Red Hot Chili Peppers live. Not really a big fan, so
fair enough.
Never seen them. But yeah, I've never seen the point of that and smuggling, you know, pyro in, but I am impressed at the fact that they are using baguettes to smuggle them in. I thought that was quite a nice little touch and a very inventive way. You ever smuggled anything anywhere?
I remember when you and I and our mutual friend went to watch Scotland play Belarus at Hampden years ago, and you and I smuggled in a couple of hip flasks. So maybe it was just one hip flask with Southern Comfort, because you know, like, I'm not, you know, not allowed to take booze into the stadiums in Scotland. Well, you're probably not allowed to take booze into a stadium anywhere now, so they would probably much rather that you bought it in the ground. But yeah, that I remember. But no, I don't remember anybody searching us or anything.
No.
Yeah,
I think I've been searched a couple of times going into a ground, usually at Ibrox, I think, but it's always just a customary kind of pat down, if you know what I mean. It's not really a proper search. It's just someone just kind of fulfilling their job in terms of just a quick pat down to check you haven't got a AK-47 under your jacket or something like that, but you could probably quite easily smuggle anything else in.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they allowed letting you in with food, to be honest, to the football stadium.
Well, yeah, you would think they would want you to buy food in there, right? Like to buy a pie or whatever in there instead of bring your own stuff in. I don't know if it's still like this now, because I've not been out in a nightclub in Glasgow for years and years, but I remember we went to the garage, you used to always have to empty your pockets before you went in to make sure you didn't have any knives or drugs or whatever, and then they would you would empty your pockets, and then they would like kind of pat you down, make sure you don't have anything like stuck in your sock or whatever. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest, because I don't really like being touched, especially by somebody I don't know. So how about you? Have you ever smuggled
Oh, well.
it? Well, I know you tried to smuggle a copy of like Nuts magazine into Dubai. And you got busted, didn't you?
That was a genuine accident, accident that I forgot it was in my rucksack. I meant to get rid of it before then. No, I mean, obviously the usual, I think, in terms of maybe smuggling, foodstuffs back to Dubai, probably. And I was never one for like smuggling bacon or sausages or anything, but we'd probably... I mean, I used to take a lot of rowies back, and obviously they're made with lard, which I guess is a pork product, so probably would be illegal to smuggle them into the country. But no, I've never been like an international drug smuggler or anything.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe the usual of maybe smuggling stuff into a nightclub. But never, that's not really, smuggling. But no, I've never been used as a mule, like the people are using kids as a mule to smuggle in their pyrotechnics. So no, but I'm sure they'll come up with new ways to get these things into the stadiums. But if want my opinion, just fucking quit it. There's no need for it. It's a pain in the arse.
Spoiling it for everybody.
Exactly. Okay, what else have you seen this week, Greg?
So my next one is, every now and again we have a bit of a unexplained sort of supernaturally type story. We had one about the Loch Ness Monster the other week. This one is about UFOs. Investigators believe that a Scot could hold an important clue to one of the world's biggest UFO mysteries. The famous Calvine photo, Calvine, it was taken in Perthshire rather, in 1990. And it's regarded as one of the clearest UFO pictures ever taken, but it's at the centre of a mystery after images sent to the Ministry of Defence disappeared. But one certified copy emerged last year showing a diamond-shaped object in the sky above Perthshire, believed by some to be the world's, quotation marks, best ever UFO photo. The Daily Record has been told that the person who took the photo was a young Glaswegian called Kevin Russell, who was working as a porter at the Pitlochry Hydro Hotel at the time. Kevin and her friends were left terrified by the 100-foot long aircraft, which they said hovered above the A9 near Calvine for 10 minutes and then soared off at high speed when it was buzzed by RAF jets. Investigator Matthew Ilsley told the Record, the identity of Kevin Russell, the photographer, remained a secret for 33 years until now. We would very much like him to come forward to confirm once and for all that what he saw was real. The Calvine incident remains one of the most confounding UFO mysteries in history. They may not prove there is life on Mars, but no one has ever argued that. The more likely truth lies with human aircraft advancements that were covered up by the Ministry of Defence and US intelligence agencies. He added, the case is not about little green men or an aerial Loch Ness monster. It's potentially a piece of military history that can be unlocked once and for all. Ilsley said Kevin would likely be in his 50s now. Hotel colleagues who were tracked down, said he returned to Glasgow in the early 90s. Exhaustive research by the UFO hunters involved contacting 150 Kevin Russells in Britain, Australia, the US and Canada, and about 300 more Scots called Russell. None confirmed that they were the right man. Ilsley said that the Calvine file should have been released after 30 years in 2021, but the Ministry of Defence blocked the release of key details until 2076 due to, quotation marks, privacy concerns. Some UFO experts believe the object is a secret US reconnaissance aircraft named Aurora, a silent supersonic spycraft. The photo of Kevin was supplied to Ilsley recently by a person who worked at the Pitlochry Hydro in 1990. It was revealed last year that former Ministry of Defence press officer Craig Lindsay had worked on the case when the photos originally came to light. But to the astonishment of UFO buffs, he kept a copy of the photo that was produced at the Daily Record's Glasgow office at the time of the original prints and negatives being handed to the Ministry of Defence. When tracked down last year, he said, I've been waiting for someone to contact me this for more than 30 years. The photo we published today has appeared in international publication. A copy was supplied to an expert at Hallam University who believes it to be genuine. Hallam professor Professor David Clark, a UFO investigator who has worked with Ministry of Defence, traced down a retired British military intelligence source who told him the diamond-shaped craft was real. The sources said he flew to Scotland to meet the witnesses and insisted he discovered the craft was American in the course of his own 1990 probe. The source was adamant the craft was a stealthy, ultra-high-tech, ultra-secret surveillance and target designation platform. The craft could, he claimed, stay at a high altitude for a long time, guiding stealth bombers to targets on the ground. In the original telling of the Calvine story, Kevin and a hotel worker went to the spot during time off. They told RAF's Craig Lindsay they went through a copse, climbed a fence to moorland, and that's where they saw the craft. They saw the diamond hovering in silence. After a minute or two, they saw a Harrier jet go over northwards at high altitude. A minute or two later, it came back southwards at low altitude and circled the staff at low speed. So, I think I know what happened here.
What do you think happened here then, Greg?
Well, first of all, right, for something to fly, if you think about it, right, birds fly, right, and all birds, regardless of what type of bird they are a sort of similar winged kind of shape, right? And if you think about aeroplanes, they're sort of bird-shaped, right? They have wings. If you think that the fuselage could be the bird's body or whatever. Helicopters are. I can only imagine helicopters are modelled after fucking Daddy Longlegs, but the planes are obviously modelled after birds. So like how the fuck does a diamond shaped object stay in the sky, right?
What's alien technology?
Or like super futuristic American technology, but it's not an aerodynamic shape. I mean, how's it up there in the first place? Does it get launched from a catapult or what?
Yeah, look, I saw Flight of the Navigator. That was kind of like a big oval kind of shape, and that flew fine. So obviously, an Imperial Star Destroyer is like a triangle shape, and that manages to fly. So
yeah, but
I don't know.
But it flies in space where there's no gravity. This is flying in like above Perthshire. It's like hundreds of gravity.
Yeah, you could see them. They were flying above Hoth, and they were managing okay. So I guess. Do you think this is all bollocks then?
I think it's utter bollocks. I think that Kevin and his pal have had a day off. They've gone up there. They've got a big bag of mushrooms. They'll say, let's go up into the countryside where maybe like 12 cans of lager and a big bag of mushrooms. Spend our day off just looking at the sky, and I've decided to play a bit of a hoax on the world, which, because we're also fucking keen to believe in this hokum, it's being taken collectively keen to believe in it, it's being taken seriously.
So you're saying Kevin and his mate have basically had an elephant's graveyard day, and rather than the scene with when they imagine kind of the Apaches attacking the cowboys and stuff, they've invented this space aliens. They're imagining Bucky O'Hare is flying above them, and
Bucky O'Hare, come on, who the fuck is? I mean, talk about a modern reference. Jesus,
well, you got it. So obviously, if you remember Bucky O'Hare, please get in touch. cultureswally@gmail.com. Yeah, no, I suspect you're right. I think they've probably had a little bit, maybe they've seen something, and maybe they've just believed what they've seen. I don't know. Yeah. Who's to say?
Have you ever seen anything in the sky that you couldn't really explain when you've been going about at night?
No, can't say I have.
No, me neither.
Genuinely, never seen anything.
Believe me, I fucking looked for it. Never seen anything.
Yeah. I mean, I do often see like a jet stream or something, and I wonder, like, where's that come from? Or, you know what I mean? Like, you kind of see the tail end of like the fumes or something, and you wonder, well, it's a bit of a strange shape, and there's no plane around. But my instant thought isn't, it must be Bucky O'Hare, or some sort of space ranger. Yeah,
Roger Ramjet or something like that.
Was he in space? Was he? Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah. That wouldn't be my first thought. So no, I don't think I've ever seen anything strange in the sky. I mean, I've seen like a shooting star or something, but I mean, nowadays it's normally going to be some fucking bunch of cunts that have set off Chinese lanterns or something.
Yeah.
Is the more likely explanation.
Or personal
Which
drones.
I'm sure. Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. My youngest daughter, is quite interested in astronomy, and we bought her a telescope recently. And we set it up for her a couple of weeks ago because it was supposed to be, I'm trying to remember, they were saying in the news that one night, a couple of weeks ago, you'd be able to see like a few of the planets really clearly just because of where they were in the sky. So we said,
I'm just going to say it now. Was it Uranus?
I can't remember the planet.
I just wanted to get that out of the way.
I was only sort of half paying attention when my wife was excitedly explaining it to me. But I did go and have a wee look at the moon through the telescope. And I've got to say, it's fucking mint. It is really cool looking at the sky through a good telescope. I really enjoyed it. Although, unfortunately, living in Dubai, the skies are not as clear as we enjoy in the Scottish countryside. So she's taking it back with her. We're going back to Scotland in a couple of weeks. She's going to take it back with her. I'm going to see what we can see in the sky above Aberdeenshire. We're back there for a week.
So that is our quote for the episode. The moon is mint.
It does. It does. It looks class. Speaking of astronomy, it's come up on my Google here that Mystic Meg, late of the sun, as the sun's fortune teller, has died, aged 80 after a battle with short illness. So sorry to hear that, Meg.
That was a deep shame in terms of Mystic Meg passing away. She was massive at the 96. I mean, when was the lottery launched?
95.
94.
95, yeah.
I mean, like, I've been around about 95, 96. Mystic Meg was fucking huge, wasn't she?
Yeah. What did she used to say? And somebody with a red jumper will be celebrating too. Remember, she had that weird sort of delivery. I'm sure there's loads of bad taste tweets going about right now about whether she saw it coming and all that kind of thing. I'm sure. Yeah.
You know, as soon as I read she'd passed away, I was like, where's going to be the first person to say she saw it coming? And literally everything I've seen about it on social media, people have made that joke. And it's like, really? Could you not have thought of something better? And they're going to wheel that out when Russell Grant passes away as well. Is that it? Could you name any other astrologers or like psychics? It's basically Mystic Meg and Russell Grant.
That's pretty much it.
That's it, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean,
there was there someone else? There was a Scottish guy, wasn't there? Frank something, I want to say.
Maybe. I can't remember.
He looked a bit like Peter Sutcliffe.
Yeah, it does ring a bell. I mean, the problem is that I tend to think that star signs and all that are a lot of bollocks as well, so I don't really pay a lot of attention to the. Although, I mean, I gotta be honest, as much as I do, I don't really subscribe to it. If I've got a newspaper, which is very rare these days, I will have a look at my stars just to see, Right,
so you say it's all bollocks, but you will read them and look at them.
Yeah, just out of curiosity.
Okay.
Because the thing is, I mean, I would quite like all that sort of stuff to be true. So, but just like I'll read it to try and validate it. Oh, actually, I was going to do that today. You know what I mean, or something. Yeah, just in my heart of hearts, I'm just too cynical.
Do you think? Because you often read stuff like about your star sign, and I will. I mean, I don't read my horoscope or anything, but I do remember when I was younger, you would read like, oh, so the traits of Pisces is, and you would read it and you'd be like, fucking hell, that is me. But, you never read anybody else's star sign. But I bet if you went and read something, you'd be like, oh, that's a bit like me as well, actually. Yeah, I do that too. Oh, yeah, so I'm a bit of a mix, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think that sometimes gives certain people license to behave like arseholes, because I used to go out... my ex-girlfriend from Aberdeen, who you knew, was a Gemini, and apparently one of the traits of Geminis, because Gemini are the twins, is to be a little, sort of mixed personality-ish, or quick to emotional, quick to anger and stuff, and it was like her get out of jail free card for acting like a fucking dick. Was, well, what do you expect? I'm a Gemini. Do you know what I mean?
So, fuck's sake.
Yeah, just one of her One of our many glaring character flaws.
Oh, dear. Well, funnily enough, Greg, we can continue the alien chat because my next story is also about UFOs and aliens. What a bit of a strange coincidence that we have here. So this is from the... I love that you found this, by the way. It's from the Scottish Daily Star from last week. And the headline is, UK town becomes nation's UFO hotspot, with 6,000 claiming to have had close encounters. So a town is demanding a government probe, I don't know if it's going to be anal, into why it has become Britain's UFO hotspot, with 6,000 people claiming to have close encounters. Over 300 sightings of mystery craft in the skies above Bonnie Bridge, near Stirling, in Scotland, are reported every year. Reports of crop circles, strange objects in the sky, and even alien abductions have plagued the Scottish town for the past 20 years. Now, local councillor Billy Buchanan, that's a fucking great name, isn't it? A Scottish councillor, Billy Buchanan.
Yeah.
He wants a government investigation. He said, I still don't know what it could be. Is it military? We don't know, but we demand to know. Good on you, Billy. Councillor Buchanan told YouTube documentary makers that so-called UFO experts from around the world have visited the town to investigate, but no one can explain the Falkirk Triangle's high number of sightings, which began in 1992 when a motorist reported a craft floating over the road. One explanation could be that sightings were used as an excuse to skive off work. HR bosses, genuinely, HR bosses have revealed that more and more workers have been trying to take time off by claiming they were visited by aliens. They said they saw a huge spike in the number of people claiming they needed to take time off because they were abducted over the last year. Some of them even claimed they had been experimented on, whilst others said they'd been taken to another planet. Even more brazen staff members told bosses they wouldn't be coming in because they wanted to go and hunt for little green men. Alan Price, CEO of HR software company Experts Bright HR, told the Daily Star, surely the bosses whose employees called in sick due to having been abducted by aliens or seen a ghost saw green. It may not have been just saucers that went flying in that workplace. Oh, Alan, you're hilarious. So apparently there is an absolute UFO hotspot in Bonnie Bridge. And yeah, people are... Would you, as an employer, if one of your members of staff phoned in and was like, oh, I can't come in today, I got abducted by aliens last night, you'd be like, what the fuck?
I know. And the thing is, like, years ago, that sort of shit wouldn't have flown at all. You know what I mean?
Much like your triangular-shaped craft.
Exactly, my diamond-shaped bloody super spy plane, whatever it is. But you do know where Bonnie Bridge is, right? You know what it's close to, right?
What?
It's close to Falkirk.
Yeah, it's part of the Falkirk Triangle. Yeah. As they said, it's part of the Falkirk Triangle. So we've got the Bermuda Triangle, and now we have the Falkirk Triangle.
So, bantamweight world champion Billy Buchanan wants a proper probe, does he?
He does, yeah. Billy Buchanan is demanding a proper probe into this. He needs to get an investigation into what's happening here. And good on him. I agree with him. I think there has to be some sort of proper probe into this, because people need answers as to why everyone's seeing these strange objects in the sky. Again, it's probably a fucking Chinese lantern or a drone.
Yeah. See if somebody told you that Billy Buchanan was after you, you'd fucking shit yourself, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would. Yeah, that's a right proper. That's to go back to the last episode, probably just because it's fresh in my mind because we recorded it 2 days ago. That's the kind of name you would hear in a chip shop, and you'd be like, oh fuck, Billy Buchanan. Oh fuck. Yeah, he sounds like a bare knuckle boxer or something. Yeah. It's maybe just because I'm thinking of Ken Buchanan. But I think, yeah, Billy Buchanan, he's a fucking nutcase, but you get good gear from him though.
Yeah. Well, actually, speaking of Ken Buchanan, do you remember how Frankie and Benny's used to have lots of old black and white photographs and sports programs and sports pictures up on the wall in the bar, and they had boxing pictures and things like Rocky Marciano and Muhammad Ali and stuff. Ken Buchanan used to come into the Frankie and Benny's in Glasgow that I worked at the Quay every now and again. And he came in one day with a black and white photograph of himself when he was when he was competing, and he stuck it in what they kind of pushed it into one of the frames of Jake the Motter or something like that, and said, "Oh, I've just put my own picture up there. I hope that's all right." We were like, "Yeah, you fill your boots, go for it."
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, did he think it was because it's normally like a dry cleaner, so like a Chinese restaurant, you see those types of photos. But he's obviously gone for it, and his local Frankie and Penny's. That's a sweet story. I like that.
It was a nice. It was a nice fella, Ken. I mean, he didn't come in like all the time, but when he did come in, he was always very friendly, nice to the staff, and all that kind of thing. So
yeah. Oh, lovely. But yeah, I guess you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him, because I bet he was still pretty fucking handy, even in his advancing years.
Yeah. Well, he does. He knocks out Bobby the barman and Steve the bookie in that episode of Still Game that he cameos in, doesn't he?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Very good. So I think that's it for UFO sightings in Scotland. I mean, obviously, quite a hub of activity. We've got Loch Ness Monster, we've got all these UFO sightings. I can't believe people are phoning into work saying they've been abducted by aliens, though.
Well, there was also a link on the article that I read for my story a moment ago about the photograph to the ghost of a green lady smiling at the camera in a Govan pub.
I did read about this morning. But
Okay, can't imagine. I wouldn't have thought a green lady would get served in a Govan pub.
To be fair, it did say that they had the investigators were over from Ireland to investigate, so maybe that's why she appeared green. Okay. But yeah, right. That's a good point in terms of the green lady in a Govan pub. Very well, very good.
Cool.
Okay. Have you seen anything else this week then, Greg?
Nope, that's it.
Okay, wonderful. Right. Well, before we go on to what we're going to be talking about today, let's have a little word from our sponsors.
Now we are window fitters, we only fit the best. We work for Balmore Glazing, come put us to the test.
Insist on Balmore quality. All our units are custom built in one of our 9 factories throughout central Scotland, with a choice of frame, top quality finish, safety locks as standard, and of course a free 10-year warranty.
Go for Balmore quality when you're fitting windows.
For a no obligation quote, dial 100 and ask for free phone Balmore.
And if you'd like to sponsor the Culture Swally, then get in touch with us on cultureswally@gmail.com or follow us on Culture Swally Pod on Instagram.
So, it was your choice for this episode, Nikki. Why don't you introduce this week's film?
Oh, thank you very much, Greg. Yes, today it was kind of a listener inspiration, I think I explained on the last episode of the pod. So it was from our listener, Andy, in Finland, who I'd spoken to on Instagram, and he didn't request this as such, but in the conversation he mentioned it, and it kind of planted a little acorn in my head of I'd like to do that one day. So today we're going to be talking about the 2014 Scottish musical romantic drama written and directed by Belle and Sebastian frontman Stuart Murdoch, God Help the Girl. The film was born out of an album and a project that Stuart produced in 2009 with the same name, God Help the Girl, which Stuart wrote and played all the instruments on, but featured a number of female vocalists. The film tells the story of Eve, an Australian girl in Glasgow who is in hospital dealing with some emotional problems and starts writing songs as a way of trying to cope and trying to get better. Songwriting becomes her way forward and leads her to the city, where she meets musicians James and Cassie. The three form an immediate bond and decide to start a band. Released in August 2014, God Help the Girl received a bit of a mixed review, but it was seen as a must-watch for fans of the band Belle and Sebastian. So, Greg, you mentioned on the last episode that you hadn't seen this before. So, what did you think of God Help the Girl?
I didn't know. I knew a little bit about it because I heard Stuart Murdoch being interviewed by Adam Buxton a few months ago on his podcast, and they spoke about it. I actually really liked it. I really, really liked it. I mean, it is like it's essentially like one big long music video with a few talking scenes in it. But no, I like it. I mean, I've always quite liked Emily Browning. I think she's quite she's a good actress. I was a bit worried.
I think we might have a Rachel Weisz kind of thing, but from my side on this episode, maybe, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that she was going to be in it, and I was a bit worried that she might be doing a Scottish accent because I had seen her in Legends with Tom Hardy, the one about the craze, where she plays Reggie's girlfriend and then wife, and her Cockney accent isn't great, and I thought, I hope she's not going to do a Scottish accent. And then at the start of the film, I thought she was trying to do a kind of English accent in the first maybe 20 minutes of it, and then she just sort of seemed to slip into her normal accent, and then it's established that she's from Australia and she's moved to Scotland and all that kind of thing. But no, I liked it. I liked the cast. I liked Olly Alexander as well. I don't think I'd seen him in anything before. And obviously Hannah Murray from Skins. And the funny thing is, I'm sure in Skins, her character's name was Cassie as well.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Sort of coincidentally. No, I really enjoyed it. And one thing that I didn't know, that I was blown away by in the first few minutes of it, my old friend from when I lived in Aberdeenshire, Lee, plays the drums in James's band in the Barrowlands, and there's a fight with him. Lee Thompson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I haven't seen
Fantastic.
him. I haven't seen him for fucking years, but Lee's mum used to give me guitar lessons when I lived in Maud in Aberdeenshire, and his sister Audrey was in my class. I was actually better friends with Audrey than I was with Lee because he's a couple of years older than me. But yeah, it was great. He plays the drums in Camera Obscura, Lee, and the other two guys on the stage are from Camera Obscura as well. So I'm sure they're all mates, like, because they're all Glasgow bands, you know.
It's got one of the best lines of the film when he's fighting with James and he says, "You're a bloody tea drinker, pal."
It does.
Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it because I really enjoyed this as well. I think, obviously, and we will talk about Belle and Sebastian and kind of our affection for the band later, but I think the music is obviously great. In points, a couple of songs in particular I absolutely love. One or two maybe I could do without. But this, it really combines it is an old-fashioned musical, and I know we've spoken about musicals on the Swally before, like Anna and the Apocalypse or Sunshine and Leith. And there are... I'm not really a big fan of musicals, but I think if they're done right, and I think this is done right, everything is kind of different. So the first song, for example, is, Eve singing to the camera, but it doesn't feel forced. It kind of feels natural in a way. I'm not taken out. I always think back to just the Sunshine on Leith, just the two of them just all of a sudden bursting into song at the start, and it just seems so cheesy and corny. But for some reason in this, it worked. And I liked the way they kind of mixed things up. Like some of the songs genuinely felt like a music video. And there's one of the songs, the three of them are in kind of a field all dressed in tartan and, they're running around, and it just felt natural in a way. And really kind of cool. I really liked it. So it combined with like an old-fashioned musical, but with like a modern angst-risen coming-of-age movie. And it just had this gentle kind of low-key Scottishness about it as well. And I really quite liked, because I was quite concerned going into it, thinking, right, you've got three main characters, the three main cast, one's Australian, two are English. How is this going to work? And I genuinely did think, is Olly Alexander going to be doing like a shortbread accent or something? Yeah. I really liked the way that they handled that, and they established, that Eve is Australian, Cassie's English, and James was born in Scotland, but he moved to England when he was 6 months old, and was moved back for university. And so established, none of them are Scottish, but they're all there living in Glasgow, and it works as well though. Like I genuinely didn't feel at any point like, oh, this isn't a Scottish film. I really admired kind of the way they did it. And I think initially, because I did watch an interview with Stuart Murdoch, and I do think they maybe were going for a Scottish cast, but the actors were just so right that they ended up rewriting it. And I think that was when they cast Emily Browning, they did say that she kind of blew him away, and that's why he was like, okay, we need to do a little bit of a rewrite there, because she's from Australia, because I don't think that was ever the intention.
I think to go back to the Sunshine and Leith piece, I think they saw the songs. I know this. A lot of the songs come from the album, which came out sort of 5 years before the project that you mentioned before that Stuart Murdoch did. But the thing is with Sunshine and Leith is the songs that are in that are all really well known Proclaimers songs, and they feel sort of shoehorned in. Whereas with this, the story, there's no kind of. I think the first time she sings, Emily Browning, or Eve rather, sings to James when they're starting to get to know each other, he says, so do you often just start singing to people? So it's kind of, it's not like like sometimes in musicals they'll sing a song to sort of move the story on, but they never, and there'll be a big song and dance and all that, but they never sort of like acknowledge that they've just been singing. I think it seemed a lot more relaxed. And you said something interesting on the last episode, and we did Beautiful Creatures, and you said this could have been, it didn't really necessarily have to be Glasgow, it could have been anywhere really. But I think what comes out in the way Stuart Murdoch directs this film is that he fucking, I mean, and I could be wrong about this, but I certainly get the impression that he fucking loves Glasgow, especially the West End, because he's just having a field day. He shoots all over the West End. He's shooting in Byres Road, he shoots in the Great Western Road, he shoots in the Botanic Gardens, he goes into town and shoots at the Barrowlands, he's in Central Station. You feel, I really felt, the way he sets up the scenes and things, and the sort of tracking shots and the scene setting shots that he does, that he's got a real love for Glasgow and wants to put it up there on a screen.
I've never seen Glasgow look so beautiful in a film. It's incredible. And like I say, I love Glasgow and adore it, but we've spoken many times on the Swally about how Edinburgh is, such a picturesque and beautiful city. And that's one thing Sunshine on Leith does. It looks so beautiful. And there's quite a few films we've covered that Edinburgh's been in. Angel Share, I think, did a very good job as well. And a few other films that we've done, even T2, when they're running up Arthur's Seat, Edinburgh just looks beautiful. But the way that he's shot, and I guess it did help that they shot this over a summer, because it's very sunny in a lot of places. But Glasgow usually looks a bit drab. I mean, of course, we've discussed before, Glasgow is often used as like Gotham City and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's meant to be like a dirty kind of seedy shithole. But Glasgow just looks absolutely incredible in the shots that he's done in this. Like when they're in the Botanic Gardens, and even when they're just walking down the streets, when like Eve's just turning a corner when she's approaching the van to give the tape to Anton.
Yeah.
The way the sun's shining off the building, it just looks beautiful.
Yeah, they've obviously got a really good summer.
Yeah.
I think there's only one scene where Eve's hair is like wet. I think the scene when she's coming to tell, toward the end, when she's coming to tell James that she's going to apply for music college in London. He's been really lucky with the weather, and the scenes near the middle of the film when they take the kayak down the River Kelvin. I mean, I don't know where he ended up getting those guys when on the river, but there were some absolutely amazing bits of countryside and sort of riverside, that he captured. Yeah, it's great, and that whole sort of it sort of nods a wee bit to that whole sort of kind of early to mid 80s Glasgow music scene with like Orange Juice and Aztec Camera and Altered Images and all those bands that had a kind of moment in the early to mid 80s. I think there's still a scene in Glasgow, very much so, but they've not had the sort of success that those guys have had, I don't think. Even Belle and Sebastian, really, I mean, you and I could probably talk for a good hour just about Belle and Sebastian, and I know that a lot of people that we know probably wouldn't know any of their songs. No. Like, maybe The Boy with the Arab Strap, but that's probably it.
That leads me to ask, actually, like, what are your first memories of Belle and Sebastian? I know we are both fans of the band, like, and I am a big Belle and Sebastian fan, but do you remember, because I vividly remember the first time I heard them.
Well, the first time I heard them, I think it was on, what was the DJ called that used to do a sort of indie show on North Sound on like a Sunday, like in the evening?
Jim Gallantly.
Jim Gallantly, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, that's him, Jim Gallantly. So I think he was playing, I think it was When You're Feeling, it was either Tiger Milk or When You're Feeling Sinister. I think it was When You're Feeling Sinister. And that was the first, I think he played like maybe 3 songs off the album on his show. Because when I worked in the pub on a Sunday night, it was always like fucking dead. So we just stick the radio on over the speakers instead of the bloody Carpenter's CD that the guy that owned the pub used to like to play. And I'm sure I feel like that's the first time that I heard him. What about you?
I mean, I was aware of them. I'd heard of Belle and Sebastian, but I'd never really heard them. And I was a bit late. Like, they had like 3 albums out, like Tiger Milk, If You're Feeling Sinister, and The Boy with the Arab Strap were already out.
Yeah.
And it was actually when I was in Norwich. And I guess it's because at that time I was still into kind of when Tiger Milk and that came out, I was still kind of in the end of Britpop kind of phase. And then I went into like a big hip hop phase for a while. Like there was just like Eminem, Snoop, Dre, Mos Def type thing. But I genuinely will never forget the first time I heard Belle and Sebastian, and it's because I'd been out in Norwich with a couple of friends, and let's just say we'd been out clubbing, and we'd really enjoyed our night. Like we'd had a really good night, and we were feeling very happy at the end of the evening, like very happy. And we went back to my friend Andy's flat to have a smoke to because we were so happy. We needed to
just calm
so
down
maybe
a bit.
calm down a little bit because we're so happy. And he pulled out the CD. He's like, "Have you heard this?" And it was Tiger Milk. And he put it on. And I guess it was just a combination of the chemicals that were flowing through my body and the grass. And I was just absolutely blown away. I was like, this is just the greatest thing I think I've ever heard in my life. Like, it's just, Stuart Murdoch's voice, just so beautiful and just wraps around you. And then I think he put on, after that, he put on If You're Feeling Sinister. We just sat there and listened to Belle and Sebastian. And I think like the next day I went and bought their albums. Been a fan since. And as you say, we could probably talk about them for hours, but they're such a beautiful band. And as you say, they're well known, but not that well known in a way. I mean, I think people know them, but exactly as you said, if you were to ask a few of our friends about their favourite Belle and Sebastian song, they'd probably say, "What was that? The cartoon with the dog and the boy?"
Yeah, I know, exactly. No, I think I like there's a big place in my playlists for just sort of really, really kind of sort of gentle but not soft kind of music. You know what I mean? Like Stuart Murdoch, when you hear him. When I was listening to him in an interview with Adam Buxton, he's quite sort of self-depreciating. He's got quite a sort of dry sense of humour. But he seems like quite at ease with himself. You know what I mean? I think they've got they released a new album last year, Belle and Sebastian, didn't they?
They released one about a month ago as well.
Right. Okay. Maybe it was this year,
which I've downloaded, but I haven't had a chance to listen to. They released one last year, but they've released one about a month ago. They kind of recorded them both, I think, during lockdown. And I haven't had a chance to properly listen to it, but I did download it. So I need to get into that. But I think he is. And that's the thing. When you listen to Belle and Sebastian, like a lot of lyrics are genuinely hilarious. Yeah. But the way it's delivered is, like I say, one of my favourite Belle and Sebastian albums is Dear Catastrophe Waitress. And it is a bit of a kind of ridiculous album, but it's got some great songs on it as well. And I fucking love Belle and Sebastian. I'm gonna have to go down a proper rabbit hole, and I think I will after this. Yeah, and that's what leaks into this film. Like the music is really good.
Yeah, it's great. And I listened to the album before I watched the film because I had some stuff to do. I just watched the film this sort of late morning, early afternoon, but I had some stuff to do in the kitchen first thing, so I listened to the original album when I was doing that before the film, and I kind of thought to myself, well, I wonder if Emily Browning's going to be singing in this, or if she's going to be miming, and then when she first sort of drops out the window at the start of the film and she's kind of crouched down and she starts singing, I was like sort of looking, I was trying to like sort of catch her out, and then just I had a wee look online and she sings like all the songs live. You know what I mean? And she's got a really, really, really nice voice. And I had a wee look on her Wikipedia because I thought, I wonder if she's done any music as a result of this, because I could imagine that, somebody would give her some songs to sing and she'd probably get an album out of it. But she didn't seem to have done any other musical stuff.
I watched the making of, there's like a 5-part thing on YouTube, the making of God Help the Girl, and that was one of the things that Stuart was kind of adamant about. The actress had to sing, and they had to sing live. And Emily did say she was a bit daunted by that, but once they did like the first take, then it was fine. You kind of got into it. And that was something I thought was quite amusing. They did the auditions for it, and they did say on the kind of call sheet, no Belle and Sebastian songs. Yeah. Like when you come in to produce. And funnily enough, quite a few people still came in and sang a Belle and Sebastian song. He's like, immediately, it didn't matter how good they were, it was a red mark through their name. Right. Because it said, I don't want to hear a Belle and Sebastian song. Yeah. And I think he'd said he was really impressed with Emily. And Emily apparently didn't even read the script for this before she auditioned. She just knew. She's like, what? It's Stuart Murdoch who's written the songs, and he's going to be directing it. She's apparently a massive Belle and Sebastian fan.
Right.
And she immediately was like, yeah, no, I want to do this. And so sent in an audition tape. And apparently it was the same with Olly Alexander. He came into the audition and he actually sang one of his own songs, which Stuart was so impressed with, because I guess it was like maybe like an X Factor audition, you know, people were probably coming in and singing, you know, anything, the latest I was going to say Ed Sheeran, but this was 2014. You know what I mean? Like, you know, whatever the day, Leon Jackson or something. But yeah, the fact Olly came in and sang like his own song really impressed Stuart, and basically just kind of offered him on the spot. So yeah, I was genuinely really impressed with Emily Brown's singing, because she's got a beautiful voice and it suits the song so well. I would say Hannah Murray, not quite so much. There's the couple of songs she sings, not quite
bad.
as good, but she's not bad. But I think compared to Emily Browning, she's just, it's such a beautiful voice. And it's just the playfulness. The first song, you know, when she's on the train and has the glasses on and she's doing the kind of, you know, maths and physics thing on the chalkboard and singing to the camera, you instantly kind of fall in love with Eve, because she's just this beautiful voice. She's so playful, and, you know, she's absolutely gorgeous as well. But you just kind of instantly kind of fall in love with the character.
Well, she's got,
then of course
I was going to say, she's got a really good look as well. Do you know what I mean? Like the way they've dressed her. And not just her, but like all of them. You know, and maybe especially her and James. You know, like the wardrobe and all that. It's a really, really, really good look. You know, she looks like an artist. You know? Yeah,
I did make a note, actually. I quite like James's burgundy Harrington jacket, and I'd need to maybe try and find one of those, because I really liked it. But she's, and of course you think she's this, you know, confident character, and you wonder what's going on, and then you find out she's in the hospital because she has an eating disorder, and she's effectively broken out to go to this gig that night. And instantly, it's quite a shocker when you just then see her in her underwear being weighed, and you're like, holy shit, you know, I didn't realise. And I think that's what a lot of people probably don't realise about people with eating disorders. And I think for such a really heavy topic to cover, and I think they handle it really well in this. They don't kind of exploit it, and it's handled, I think, in a really caring and good way as well. And it also shows up the Scottish health system as well, in terms of, you know, they are really helping, and it's not a criticism on them or anything. And of course Eve escapes a couple of times, but I thought they handled it really sensitively in what could be a very, you know, deep topic to discuss.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, this, I guess the sort of message is that you know, sort of art and music can help you overcome these sort of condition. You know, I mean, I read a few of the reviews for it, and one woman writing for Pitchfork, which is online music sort of magazine, she calls the film, or she sort of accuses the film of romanticising eating disorders. And I was thinking to myself, because I watched it with my daughter, who's 14, and I think it does like the opposite of it. You know, like you see Eve, that you mentioned it before, when she's in, you know, the first act of the film, where she's in she goes back to the hospital, and she's got to stand in her underwear on scales in front of the nurses, and you know what I mean. And as much as I know that well, I'm assuming that's probably part of how those sort of disorders are treated, but I can also imagine that it must be, for the patient, it must be quite kind of humiliating, you know, having you know, like sort of having to stand there and be assessed and weighed and measured and all that kind of thing. So I don't think it romanticizes eating disorders at all. Like, you know, all the way through the film, I think what Browning's great at is that she's kind of playing two characters. Like, she's like a different person when she's with James, and then later on Cassie and the rest of the guys in the band. But then the scenes when she's by herself, when she's running out of pills, you know, and she's sort of, you know, she realises that she's only got however many days worth of pills left, and the sort of self-doubt and anxiety and everything. You know, there's nothing kind of romantic about it in the slightest.
Not at all. And I think it's a good point. I mean, that's what a lot of people say people that have eating disorders, they do put up a mask. I guess it's all the same as like alcoholics, they'll put up this mask in front of people. So maybe that's what she was doing with James and Cassie, like feeling everything's fine. But I do genuinely think she was actually fine, because it is when James kind of falls out with her, but he's taking the huff a little bit because he discovers she's shagging Anton.
Yeah.
And he kind of goes AWOL for a bit, and that leads to her kind of sinking back into the depression. And, it's probably one of my two favourite songs in the film is the, Musician Please Take Heed. When you see her go to the downward spiral, she's off with this dancer. Did you recognise the dancer, by the way?
I didn't recognise her at the time, but I saw in the credits it was the highly talented Sarah Swire from Anna and the Apocalypse.
Yeah. So you see her going this downward spiral, drinking vodka, buying drugs off these guys, watching Minder, which I didn't expect to see Dennis Waterman in this film.
Definitely not. But I do like it when Dennis Waterman pops up in things, even if it's only fleetingly.
It was beautiful, but it was I need to check the actual lyrics, but I'm sure she says something about a reminder, and Minder pops up on TV. I was like, that is fucking amazing. I can't believe Dennis Waterman's in this. And he's actually, I watched the full credits, and when it says thank you to, there's a list of people, and it does say Dennis Waterman in the in the actual thanks. But she goes in this downward spiral and effectively, we think takes an overdose, and I don't know if she checked herself back in or if she was forced back into the hospital. And the next thing you see is, James coming to visit her, and she's accepted, she has to be there. She knows it's the only way she's going to get better is being there. So yeah, I completely agree with you. I think for to say that it glamorizes eating disorders is ridiculous. I think it really shows the horrible impact that they have on the people and, their friends and family as well, because obviously James is, impacted by it. And true enough, he kind of says that the nurse does say to him, "Did you know?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, you just have to listen to the lyrics of the song she writes and The only glamorizing part I could say is the football match, which has that beautiful speech from the comedian Josie Long playing the football that we're all fucking mental. And the big high five, mental. That was that's the only bit I could see possibly glamorizing it.
You look frightened. We don't need to be frightened of them because we're all fucking mental. Do you understand? They're not mental. They don't have a clue, right? These are children. They're beautiful children, but they're children, and we can take them down. Do you understand? Go mental!
I think what the scene you mentioned before that actually does a really good job of showing the kind of vulnerability of people who are suffering with those types of conditions. Because I think when James sort of withdraws a bit from her, I think it's only for the day. It's like the Sunday, because when he meets her back in the hospital, she says, "Where did you go that day?" You know what I mean? So it's sort of, to me, it kind of understated how much she really needed him. Maybe not in the way that he wanted her to need him, but she kind of needed them nearby, and she needed Cassie nearby, and of course Cassie's away on holiday at that point with her family, and it's just, how sort of fragile the sort of tape holding her together is. All it takes is one little thing like that for her to sort of come crashing down. It's just, I think Emily Browning seems to understand it really. She seems to understand what the sort of pressure points are for people who struggle with eating disorders and things.
I think that leads to the topic of the chemistry between James and Eve. It's wonderful. You really feel for him because you can tell he's really pining for her, and he really likes her. But then I wouldn't say Eve leads him on as such. She's there. She really likes him, and she does say at one point, I love you, and Cassie as well. It's more of a I love you as a friend, kind of way. And even when he does finally take the balls and kisses her, she says, "What was the point of that?"
Yeah, she said it's too late.
You should have done that. It's too late. You should have done that weeks ago. So then you are led to believe, like, oh wow, was she into him all along? But she was shagging the Swiss German Anton. So was she leading him on? But the chemistry between the two is great. And then when Cassie comes in as the kind of third part, it's just great. The three of them together, you really believe them as a band, but you believe them as a group of friends, and it's wonderful, the chemistry that they have.
Yeah, I suspect that they probably became good friends, the three of them, through the course of making the film. The other thing that I noticed, that there's a few, like in the scenes, like the first scene in the bowling club, where the rest of the band are playing the sort of tea dance for the older folk, and they go and get involved. I spotted quite a few Belle and Sebastian band members. And Camera Obscura band members kind of making up the numbers in the kind of dance routine. It was quite funny. I kept having to kind of pause it, and I can never remember their names right enough, but they're all quite sort of distinctively looking. The other thing that this woman who reckoned that Murdoch was glamorising eating disorders, was, she said that she criticised the film's lack of racial diversity as a microcosmic view. This is where, to quote her, a microcosmic view of what is wrought by racial exclusivity that is omnipresent in indie rock. I would take issue with that, right? Because, like, Murdoch did respond to her on Twitter, Murdoch, saying that, a kind of poor white kid from Scotland, and I've kind of written about what I know in the sort of scene and things. But I was thinking, well, there have been some indie bands with black members, and the one that immediately springs to mind is Block Party. But even if
that's exactly what I was the way to say.
Yeah, but even if you go way back to the Specials in the 80s, which were an indie band, they were a mixed race band, black guys and white guys. So
UB40.
UB40 as well, yeah. Well, it's true. I think it's been a while since UB40 could be described as an indie band, but then you could say the same about the Specials.
The Lighthouse Family.
Yeah, People.
Someone, you raise a good point there. I genuinely never crossed my mind watching this, and it's only until you've mentioned it that I'm like, yeah, you're right. Everyone in this film's white. That genuinely never crossed my mind, but you make a very valid point, and I think she does as well. But I guess it's 2014, and as Stuart says, if he's just a poor white kid growing up in Glasgow, he's written about what he knows. I don't know.
I mean, I sort of feel, anybody should be able to be represented in anything, in any sort of, whatever it is, any type of film, any sort of music. If you're into it, I don't think anybody should be excluded from something just because of where they come from, whether that's a white guy wanting to play reggae music like UB40, or a black guy wanting to play like rock music like Jimi Hendrix or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But I also know, growing up in Glasgow and then returning to Glasgow a lot over the years, it never felt as diverse as going to like a English city, for example. There's a big Asian community in Glasgow, like Pakistanis and Asians and things. But when I went to the Barrowlands to watch like the Manic Street Preachers or Radiohead or someone like that, the audience would predominantly be white. You know what I mean? You wouldn't see, and it could just be a simple case that rather than people like that being excluded or feeling excluded, they might just not be into it. You know what I mean? They might not be into that type of music or whatever. I just think it's, this sort of, I think people just look to make discussion points, which we're obviously taking the bait because we're discussing it right now. But I think, it's just, but I think it's the sort of thing that you see on Twitter, and you can tell that somebody is just trying to chuck a fucking hand grenade into a conversation to, provoke some outrage, get somebody to accidentally say something ridiculously racist or something like that, and then kind of round on them. I just thought it was a weird thing to say, you know.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it is a bit of, she's obviously trying to provoke things. She obviously just didn't like the film. If she's provoking that it's glamorising eating disorders and there's no black people in this film, then that's the picking up on it. As you said, I think it is kind of it's a nearly 2 hour long kind of music video, and there's not a huge amount of story really. I mean, it's Eve, she's in hospital with an eating disorder, she escapes, meets James and Cassie, they form a band, she has a relapse, ends up back in hospital, they perform a gig, she goes off to London to go to music school. That's kind of the whole premise of the film. That's the whole story of the film.
Yeah.
But there's a lot happens in terms of, as I say, the songs are great. And I think Stuart admitted that this was quite heavily influenced by A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles.
Well, there's an overt
you can
Hard Day's Night scene, isn't there, pretty much, when they're putting the flyers up. And
that's exactly what I was about to say. When James is kind of running away, with all the flyers spilling out, and it's exactly very much influenced by that, and you can see how much that was very much influenced.
And there was a few people, actually, I was going to ask you, so if you know where this girl's from, so that scene that you just mentioned, when they all sort of gather, so when he stops running, they all kind of gather in the park, and there's the girl in the school uniform collecting litter. I thought, she's so familiar, and I could not place her.
No, I don't know, to be honest, no. But she was very familiar to me as well.
Yeah, I think she's got an accent, and not a Scottish accent, right? It's
like a French accent. I would have thought.
But it's a good scene, that, and it's like to your point, it's like straight out of Hard Day's Night, like aspiring musicians all running after James.
I do like as well. I love a film that is kind of set in like a little bit of an ambiguous time period, because I think we do see at one point Eve has like a smartphone, because she is playing like the keyboard on it. So we know it's, then. And obviously a lot of the things they talk about in terms of tapes not being, they haven't been, cassette tapes haven't been relevant for a long time, although they are making a comeback. I think, but this, even the clothes that they wear, which you mentioned before, it's quite an ambiguous kind of way of when it's set. Like I presume it is set in 2013 when it was filmed, or 2014, but there's not really a kind of key of it's this year, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, I don't know what you mean, and it's the sort of fashion. James wears a couple of Fred Perry polo shirts a couple of times, but like he's also wearing some stuff that's clearly been bought from Topshop as well in other scenes. He's got his Harrington, he's got his suede desert boots that he wears all the time. But they all look. I think they all look fucking great. Like I mentioned earlier, like all the cast. They, especially Emily Browning. I mean, we don't see her in the same clothes twice. I liked her. I did like her bod t-shirt. As soon as I saw it, the theme tune to Bods just came galloping unbidden into my mind and has been stuck there ever fucking since. They just really, really good look. She just looks really cool in every scene she's in. She looks really, really cool.
I think the word twee gets used quite a lot, especially to describe Belle and Sebastian, and I have seen a lot of reviews of this film calling it twee. Would you describe it as twee?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think people are looking for. I think they're looking for something more than what the film is, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it's a nice, maybe a wee bit long for Swally standards, but it's just a nice entertaining film with like a really good cast, really good looking, talented cast with some great songs. I mean, and I don't know, maybe because he doesn't show the overt fucking horror of an eating disorder like other dramas that touch on something like that might do. I mean, there is one scene where Eve is sick, but the nurse says, no, it's because you've started eating again, and your stomach has shrunk because you haven't been eating, and now your body's just starting to wake up and stuff, and that's why you've been sick. So it wasn't like a scene of her making herself sick, and like we've seen when something like Hollyoaks or something, when they cover anorexia or bulimia or something. So he doesn't. It's always there it's always there as a sort of shadow through the plot and through the storyline as it unfolds, but it's not. He doesn't beat you over the head with it. It's just like a good, entertaining film, and I think to call it twee is a bit ignorant, to be honest. I think it's sort of missing the point. I think the only point he's trying to make in the film, like I mentioned earlier, that, you know, like art can help you overcome personal problems, whether it's an eating disorder or whether it's like in James's case, you know, he's a bit shy and he's a bit uncomfortable in his own skin. You know, by embracing these things, they can help. You know, he's just not very preachy about it, which is probably why people are missing the point.
I mean, what are you going to do?
What does that mean?
What are you going to do? You're just going to sit around here for the next 10 years getting more tired and fed up with everything? You say we can make records. How can we make records? You need money to make the kind of records you want to make. And even then, who's going to listen to them? You're the only person that wants to hear them.
Well, what's wrong with that? You can't make records for anyone else. I don't care if we made a record and no one bloody listened to it, as long as it was the record that we wanted to make.
Well, I can't have that, James. Okay? I've been inside my own head for way too long. I want to sing, and I want to dance, and I want to meet new people, and I don't want to look back.
I mean, to talk about James and Olly Alexander, you mentioned that this was the first time you'd really seen him?
Yeah, I know he's in a band called Years and Years, I think, isn't he?
Yes, he is,
yeah. I know he's been in some stuff. When I was reading about him earlier, I know he was in the Russell T Davies drama that was out last year. I think you watched it. It's a Sin.
I can't recommend that highly enough.
Yeah.
It is just incredible, and he's brilliant in it. But you would absolutely love it because it's just full on 80s.
Yeah,
like it's honestly, it's one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. It's so wonderful. But he is absolutely fantastic in it, and he's great in this. Like he treads the line of you kind of know he's a very intelligent guy, but he's not a show off. And I think instantly I cracked up when he's talking to Eve and he says, "Yeah, I'm a lifeguard," and it cuts to that scene and he's like, you know, "Here is the safeness."
yeah.
Come here. He's got such a beautiful delivery with his words, and he's, you know, fully invested, and obviously he knows his music. And I mean, I disagree with a couple of his opinions. You know, I have shed a tear probably to a Bowie album, and I don't know if I agree that pop music has been on the slide since 1969. I presume he's referring that because that was just that was when Abbey Road came out, and then Let It Be was 1970. But then he criticises the Beatles as well later on, so maybe it's not reference to the Beatles.
I mean, has he never heard S Club 7?
Exactly, that is my point. He's never
Girls
heard
Aloud?
S Club 7 or Steps or Girls Aloud or Hadaway or anything like that. But yeah, I think he's a brilliant character, and as I say, I think he treads the line very well of you can tell how much he cares for Eve. And he's obviously, you know, head over heels in love with her, but and devastated when she says that she's going to London.
Yeah.
That's the other part that I actually loved about the film, the ending. She fucks off.
Yeah, it's not like a fairy tale ending. I think even
great.
Even Cassie sort of foreshadows it when she says, you know, if you two aren't together at the end of this thing, you know, she said, you know, and then of course they're not together, you know, and we're just left with the image of James and Cassie riding the tandem along the side of the Clyde, and Emily.
That raises two questions for me. One, how much effort did Cassie have to get to ride that tandem into Central Station?
I know, they weigh a fucking
could you
ton,
imagine?
They weigh
and
a
plus,
bastard and ton tandems.
Having to drive through Glasgow city centre on your tandem and getting it into Central Station, that's a bastard. My second question is, how long, right, so obviously James is going to be devastated that Eve's left. He's probably going to, what do you reckon, 2 weeks of pining before he tries to fire into Cassie?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know that he really fancies Cassie, because he's quite... You know, he sends the wee dog captain round to collect her because there's a guy at the tea dance that he thinks that she'll fancy. You know, the sort of greaser guy, the kind of 1950s kid. I don't know how much I don't know. My wonder, what I thought the film might end with is James turning up on the platform at Euston Station or something like that, you know what I mean, and going to find her, but no, it's just them cycling off. And the thing I find hard to believe is that how anybody could ride a tandem through Glasgow city centre without somebody ripping the cunt out of them.
Is that the most unbelievable thing, or is the fact that James wants to be a councillor, a city councillor? Who wants to be a city councillor? It's quite a a bizarre aspiration for someone who's obviously musically talented. And yeah, it's just a strange kind of aspiration to have. Obviously, it's done on purpose, but I wonder why.
I mean, he's a bit of a weird guy anyway. I mean, like that scene when he's sitting outside the bathroom singing the song about wanting to rubber in the bath and stuff. And
now, that is the one song that I am like, I'm not on board with that at all. That's just weird as fuck, that song. And I like a lot of the songs in the films. I say I've got two that I absolutely adore, but that song is just so wrong on so many levels.
It's really weird, isn't it? He wants to... I mean, I've never, obviously very physically attracted to my wife, but I wouldn't want to, like, give her a bath. You know what I mean? It's weird. And I'm pretty sure neither would she want me to. You know what I mean?
There's a scene in the film where they mention two bands that are named after Spunk. Mm-hmm. They mention Pearl Jam and 10cc. Can you name the third band that they don't mention in this film?
The Love and Spoonful.
Yes, thank you. I knew you would know that.
I can be relied upon to know things like that.
Very good. Glad to hear it. How good were the Neds?
Oh,
they're just there for a little bit, but I absolutely love the, hey, Blondie, I know you. You go to the posh school. It's just, will you go with him? And then when they're like, we need to leave, and the one Ned goes, she's a wee English rose.
Yeah.
I bet she's dirty.
Oh, excuse me. Blondie, I know you. You go to the posh school. Would you go with my pal?
Where does he want me to go? I don't understand what you're saying.
Would you go with him? As in, like, go with him?
James, cuddle!
Oh, I love her. She's a wee English rose. But I bet she's dirty.
No, I kind of thought to myself, maybe Stuart's like subverting the whole stereotype of that type of young Scottish man. He's got like the heart of a poet until I bet she's dirty.
I have to say, it's a bit of a flip as well, because obviously we have Hannah Murray playing Cassie, and exactly as you said, she played Cassie in Skins. And I did watch an interview, it was on American TV with the cast and Stuart, and the interviewer did say, so you recall Cassie in Skins, did you, think, oh no? And she's like, well, yeah, to be honest, but I really wanted to do this film. And I didn't want to be able to say to Stuart, could you change the character name just so it helps with my CV? Because it doesn't look like I'm, playing Cassie the whole time. She is great. And I have to admit, I loved her in Skins. And I quite fancied her a little bit in Skins. Because she's a very pretty girl. But in this, it's kind of a similar character almost. But in Skins, she has an eating disorder. Whereas in this, obviously, it's Eve that has the eating disorder. So it's a little bit of a different twist there. But she's kind of a, well, she goes to the posh school. So she's like a rich schoolgirl who just wants to, play music. And she just falls in with James and Eve. And as I say, the relationship between the three of them is just beautiful.
Well, I quite liked seeing Hannah Murray in this role because, obviously the part of Cassie in Skins is, as much as she is quite an eccentric character in that TV show. The storyline is very, very serious kind of storyline. And then the other big part that she's had, which I know that you won't have seen her in, is Game of Thrones, where she's in it from like the second series right until the very end. And again, it's a serious kind of role as well. So it was nice to see her in this, although I suspect that she's maybe a wee bit eccentric herself, you know what I mean? But it was nice to see her just having a bit of fun with the role, and it's not a heavy, serious part, and she gets to sing a couple of songs, she gets to do some dodgy dancing,
What on earth are Stuart Marconi and Mark Radcliffe doing on a radio station in Glasgow?
Oh, but I was really glad to see them, to hear them on that. Because
it was great, wasn't it?
I fucking used to really enjoy their Radio 2 show that was on in the evening. Because it was on like every night. I think it was on at sort of 8 till 10 or something. And I hadn't heard them for ages. Stuart Maconie, I did read his book, which I really enjoyed, called Drinking Cider with Roadies, which is a bit of a autobiography of his formative years from being a counsellor funnily enough, although not a city councillor, more a youth councillor to becoming a journalist for the NME. But on Twitter, he's a bit of a prick, if I'm honest. I follow him on Twitter. I remember driving, and I tweeted him one night. I was driving back from somewhere, and he had like a little documentary on Radio 2 about Northern Soul, and he used the word pureness to describe something, and I tweeted him saying that I really enjoyed the show, but a bit facetiously I said, when you said pureness, did you not mean purity? And he tweeted me back saying, no, I meant pureness. Some people just take things far too fucking seriously. I was like, ooh. I still think purity is a better word, you know.
Oh dear. Okay, have you got any favourite songs from the film?
I liked the first song, The Apostle, and Act of the Apostle, sorry, and I'm trying to remember. You mentioned it before. The musician, please take heed. I think they were my two favourite songs on it. What about you?
Yeah, musician, please take heed, and I really like I'll Have to Dance with Cassie as well. I just think it's a really kind of fun song.
Yeah,
it's the one they sing in the. Well, it's never established. I think Mark Radcliffe does say it's the old schoolhouse in Ibrox that they're playing, because it's never kind of mentioned where it is. Because I know they go to see Wobbly Legged Rat at the bowling club, but then the venue they go to is different for the kind of band when they're singing with all the dancing and stuff. And it's like a British Legion, basically. And I think there is a photo in the background of like soldiers, so I presume it is a proper British Legion. But Mark Radcliffe does say when he eventually gets Eve's tape, he does say, so we can't get to see God Help the Girl tonight, but if you want to go and see them, they're playing at the old schoolhouse in Ibrox. So. Yeah.
Probably not the usual type of band that plays in the old schoolhouse in Ibrox, but
no.
a gig's a gig.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. No, they should have maybe been singing the song from
T2
Spotting 2 about no more Catholics.
Yeah.
I say you could tell that the cast really enjoyed filming this, and they did say that it felt like a summer camp when they filmed this, and it's so nice to see three young cast members just really enjoying themselves, but also making a great film. And I say I have read a few online reviews, and people either seem to love this film or absolutely hate it, and it's quite there doesn't seem to be any in between. And I'm with you. I loved this film. I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed it as well, and my daughter enjoyed it too. Obviously, she's a bit of an aspiring musician herself, she really liked it. And I wondered, because Emily Browning, so one of her early parts was Billy Connolly's daughter in the film The Man Who Sued God, which is an Australian film, although thankfully Connolly plays a Scottish man and not an Australian guy. And then she stars with him again in the Lemony Snicket movie with Jim Carrey. So I wondered if maybe another reason for I wondered if she became became kind of friendly with Connolly, and that was how she came to find herself in Glasgow. And another reason, I know you mentioned earlier that she was a fan of Belle and Sebastian, but if that was another maybe a wee reason for seeking out the part,
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, maybe the connection there led to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so up the Scotia bar on Billy Connolly's recommendation, eating fucking pickled eggs and drinking pints of Tartan Heavy with the barflies in that pub.
Can I just say, Emily, I would love to eat a pickled egg and have a pint of Heavy with you. Yeah.
She is. She's absolutely stunning, Emily Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, she does seem quite small. Like Hannah Murray seems to kind of loom over her.
Yeah, I noticed that in a couple of scenes. That she does seem to be quite short. But yeah, she's just she's lovely in this, and I think it helps that she's just such a lovely character as well. And as I say, I watched a couple of interviews with the cast, and she genuinely is a lovely person. And I think a lot of because obviously it was like 2014, so she was kind of the bigger star at the time, and a lot of the interviewers were kind of focusing on her, and she kept sort of deflecting questions to Olly or Hannah. which I thought was really sweet as well, and like really nice, because she's like, oh, well, you'd be better to answer this. And, you know, I thought that was really gracious of her, and, you know, kind of made me think, oh, she is a genuinely lovely person as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, no, it was really good. I really enjoyed the film. Yeah, and I'm about to go. I'm travelling for the next 10 days after tomorrow, so I've downloaded all of Belle and Sebastian's albums, because that's going to be my soundtrack while I'm bopping around New York. So I look forward to it.
Wonderful. Okay, well, shall we put God Help the Girl through the Swally Awards?
Yep, absolutely. So the first one, the Bobby the Barman Award for the best pub in the film. What did you go for?
Well, we've got the Barrowlands, or we've got the Old Schoolhouse in Ibrox. I guess that's kind of the only two.
Yeah.
Probably, you know something? The Old Schoolhouse in Ibrox. I think I'd rather go for a beer.
Would you?
Then it depends who's playing at the Barrowlands.
That's very true.
I mean, I've been there a couple of times and enjoyed it, but I think it depends who's playing. But yeah, I think I'd go with the Old Schoolhouse. What about yourself?
I mean, I wrote down the Barrowlands, but I wasn't sure whether I would get away with it, because the Barrowlands is a venue. It's not really a pub. So I guess if we're adhering to strict Swally rules, I suppose. The Old Schoolhouse in Ibrox. Although it looks more like like you mentioned, it's more like a social club than a pub.
Yeah. Instantly I was like, it's a British Legion, I thought, but
Orange Lodge.
Yeah.
Just taking all the shite off the walls.
It's in Ibrox, so it basically is, yeah.
Okay, the next one then, it's a bit of a tricky one. And I made what is perhaps in hindsight a bit of a controversial choice, but the James Cosmo Award for prolifically appearing in many Scottish things.
I mean, there's only really two choices that I had, and it's Anne Scott Jones or Catherine Howden. I mean, Catherine Howden only plays like a ward sister, but Anne Scott Jones plays the woman that cuts Eve's hair. So it kind of has a bigger part, and then gives her some Christian healing. When I get that feeling, I want Christian healing. So yeah, I went with Anne Scott Jones. I mean, purely because she has been in, she was in Legend of Barney Thompson. She's been
Local
in
Hero.
Strathblair. She's been The High Life, Local Hero. So yeah, I went with Anne Scott Jones. What about yourself? What'd you go for?
Well, I didn't recognise Anne Scott Jones. So because we've had her on the Swally before, I put Sarah Swire because I couldn't think of anybody else. But I didn't recognise Anne Scott Jones. There's the hairdresser. So I think, looking at her IMDb, she's a much more deserving winner than Sarah Swire.
And Jessie in Maggie.
Exactly, yeah. I watched like an episode of Maggie. Unfortunately, they're not all one.
And of course, she was the mother in The Nuclear Family. She's going to punch you a pizza.
Yeah. Sarah Swire looked good, didn't she? In her scene, I thought.
Yeah, she did. Yeah. I've perfed over Emily Browning enough. I can't continue with that. But yeah, she did. She looked incredible, I have to say.
Okay. So the next award is the Jake McQuillan Your Tease Out Award. But it's like no real violence in this.
I went with James fighting with his drummer. That was it, really.
That's I
mean, he does slap him.
He does.
You're a bloody tea drinker, pal. Yeah, that's it. That's the only violence, really.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but that's after the drumstick gets bounced off the back of his head, which looked like a real drumstick really being bounced off the back of his head, which I'm actually quite painful.
I think it was. Yeah.
Okay. The next award then, the Ewan McGregor Award for Gratuitous Nudity. There's only one real bit, and it's not really gratuitous, but it's when Eve and Anton are in bed, and Eve storms out angrily when she finds out that Anton never gave her tapes to Donovan and what was Mark Radcliffe's character called again? Finley, yeah. So it's very brief. Not really gratuitous. Did you have anything else?
No, that was it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Next one then, the Francis Begbie Award for Gratuitous Swearing.
I absolutely loved this. There's a few good swear words in this, but I absolutely loved, and it's more the reaction from Olly Alexander, and I think it's more the situation as well. Yeah. It's when Anton comes and takes Eve away, and James just looks at Cassie. He's like, "Who the fuck is he?"
Hello.
Hi, this is James and Cassie. This is Anton.
May I talk to you for a minute?
Sure. Bye, guys.
Who the fuck is he?
And the way they just sit there staring at each other as the camera just sits on them. It's just, beautiful bit of direction. I love that. I just burst out laughing.
I had exactly the same thing, because up until that point, I don't think we'd had any, certainly hadn't been any F words. You know, I think we hadn't really had any real swearing. I mean, there's the bit when, in the football match, when Eve is fouled by the keeper, and she says, right in the fanny. But they got up, and apart from that, there wasn't really any other bad language. So just for it to come out of nowhere, to come from James as well, it's just...
I think there is a little bit earlier on. I think exactly at the football match, I think Josie Long does say, like, look, we're all fucking mental. So let's just, but it's the way it's delivered from Olly Alexander. It's just a beautiful. Who the fuck is he?
Yeah, I know. To your point, it's so unexpected. Okay, so the next one then, archetypal Scottish moment.
What did you go for?
Gigs at the Barrowlands.
Yeah, good shout. Yeah, that's a very good shout, actually. I went with the Neds. Just purely would you go with him? That was the one I had to go for.
Cool. And then finally, the Sean Connery Awards. Who do you think wins the film?
I'm kind of torn between Emily Browning and Olly Alexander, because I think Olly Alexander's great, but it's kind of Emily Browning's film, really. And she is brilliant. And, the fact that she sings her songs live, and she's got quite a few of them, and she's got such a good singing voice, and she definitely won my heart in this film anyway. So Emily Browning wins it for me. What about you?
Yeah, no, I had written Emily Browning as well. I think she's it's definitely her film. Olly Alexander, you could make a case for Olly Alexander. I think he's very good as well, but I think if we're being serious, I think it's Emily Browning's film.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, I really enjoyed God Help the Girl. As I say, I think I mentioned last episode, I'd seen it once before, but it was through basically after 2 bottles of red wine. So couldn't remember a huge amount of it, but I really enjoyed it, and I've watched it twice this week, and I'll probably watch it again because I just thought it was so good. And I'll definitely be downloading the soundtrack as well to listen to.
Cool.
So, wonderful. Well, that was my choice, Greg. So, it's your choice next time on the Swally. So, why don't you tell us what we're going to be talking about on the next episode?
So, I've gone for another film with a all-star Swally cast. Just absolute bomber after bomber. I've gone with the 2008 historical comedy drama directed by Charles Martin Smith, starring Charlie Cox of Daredevil, I know he's not Scottish, Billy Boyd, Robert Carlyle, Peter Mullen, Stephen McCall, Stone of Destiny.
I can't believe
Why? Sorry.
It was on my list, but the reason I picked it was because of Kate Mara, who I absolutely fucking adore. So...
yeah.
Oh, wonderful. What a fucking great choice. Sorry, I cut you off. You were about to explain. Stone of Destiny about...
Yeah, so it's about the group of academics who famously stole the Stone of Scone, the ancient stone in which Scottish kings were knighted that had been sitting in Westminster Abbey for hundreds of years. I think is back sitting in Westminster Abbey, I believe. Yeah. So it's all about that. I've seen it before, but many years ago, I think when it was quite new. Don't remember a great deal about it, so I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Wonderful. Well, I obviously haven't seen it because it's before my allotted time period, because I don't watch anything like pre-1960s. However, I will make the sacrifice for the Swally and for Kate Mara as well.
Okay. So we've had, so it's a sort of a bit of a trifecta. We had Rachel Weisz that certainly I got a bit hot under the collar about in the last episode. Emily Browning, which is probably fair to say we both got a little bit hot under the collar about in this episode, and then we've got Kate Mara coming up in the next episode. So yeah,
I'm going to definitely pick an all-male cast for my next choice. Avoid this. All right, wonderful. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to get in touch with us, if you've got anything in the news that you've seen you'd like us to cover, or if you've got anything from Scottish media you'd like us to cover, then please get in touch on cultureswally@gmail.com, or just send us a little line to say hello and we get in touch. Or you can follow us on Instagram at Culture Swally Pod, or follow us on Twitter at Swally Pod. And Greg, we have a wonderful website as well, don't we?
We do. I need to do a bit of work on it when I've got time, but you can find us at cultureswally.com. You can find links to all the episodes and a couple of essays about Scottish pop culture. So come and have a look. Fucking
with
cat.
added cat.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. And Greg, have a wonderful time in New York, although I know you're going there for work. And have a wonderful time in Scotland. You're going to be in Scotland. Send us some pics.
I am. I'm going to be...
Lovely Scotland.
I'm going to be in Aberdeenshire, Glasgow, and then I've got to go to Newcastle for a couple of days, but I'll be back up. So yeah, all told, about 10 days back in God's country.
Wonderful. And we'll be back with our next episode, and we'll have the latest news for you on the next episode because we'll be recording that just before release. So yeah, have a wonderful trip, Greg, and I look forward to hearing your stories from Scotland on the next episode.
Okay, until next time.
Till next time.
I'm just saying, this is a Ned city now. It's a Victorian theme park, but it's run by Ned.
And what happened to the Victorians?
They built the city, they used the workforce, then they fucked off with the money. I know more about the city than, I would say, 60% of the local residents.
What?
I do. I study the history of this place. I have.
Sorry, James. You are English.
No, I'm not.
How long after you were born in Scotland did you live in Scotland?
All right, well, I was born here and then after like 6 months we moved.
Oh, that doesn't count. If you went to the pub now, around the corner, and you were like, "Hi everyone, I'm Scottish," someone would punch you in the face.
Absolutely.
No, they wouldn't. Maybe I'd punch them back.